Hello, and welcome to Rethinking Our History, where we seek to shed a light on events that have been forgotten and covered up, and to make us all question how much do we really know about our history? I'm Felicia.
And I'm Ian, and we are here to reveal all the sordid details of history that have been swept under the rug. Get ready to get angry, be curious, and maybe have a laugh or two as we rethink our history.
Hello, friends.
Hey guys.
Thanks for joining us for another lesson. Just a warning at the top there will be a child screaming in the background because she's home on a snowy weekend and she's playing VR.
Yep.
But it gives us a chance to record. So,
Gorilla Tag.
yeah, it's I don't know how I feel about that game. Kind of hate it, honestly. I really fucking hate it. But yeah, I'm sure my mother hated shit we played when we were younger too. So
Oh yeah.
what am I gonna say? All right, so this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. I couldn't find a lot of information that I wanted to find, even though I actually went like pages deep on the search for this one.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, if you found us here and are a fan of the paranormal, give our flagship show, The Paranormal Lovers, a listen. Almost 100 episodes about everything from Aokigara, the suicide forest, to Christmas goblins.
Love the Christmas goblins.
Christmas goblins.
They tear so much shit up.
Just causing mayhem.
I swear they were at my work.
Like, what was it? The
Just
day
Christmas.
before Christmas?
Yep.
Like the day before Christmas. Like everything was just, shit was missing. Shit was going wrong.
Christmas goblins.
Christmas goblins.
They were causing some mischief.
What was its name? Caleb? If you would be so kind, please give us a follow and share on social media. Search for the Paranormal Lovers in the search bar on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram to find us. And if you'd rather watch videos of these episodes, search that name on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. If you would like to support the podcast, we have two ways for you to do so. First, we have our merch store with new designs for the new year. Secondly, we have a Patreon where for $5 a month, you get early access to unedited videos of both episodes, as well as free stickers each month.
Yo,
stickers. March 14th through the 16th, we will be attending Hauntlanta Paranormal Convention on Lake Lanier as vendors.
It's going to be so fun.
Yes, it's going to be fun. Head over to the link in the show notes to get your tickets and come by and say hello. And just so y'all know, that is literally like a few days before Ian's 44th birthday. So come celebrate with us. Wee! And finally, if you have a personal story, whether it be paranormal, historical, or you have a topic request, please email us at theparanormallovers@yahoo.com. All right. Now that all that shenanigans out the way, again, this is going to be a shorter episode. It was really hard to find anything about this man other than his poetry.
Right on.
I was like, okay. Last week on The Paranormal Lovers, we covered Lake Lanier and her dark history, which made me wonder, who was the man this reservoir was named after? When you search for Sidney Lanier, one of the first things stated about him is that he was a Confederate veteran. Now, I will admit, when I see this in someone's biography, my first reaction is typically like, shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, fucking here we go again. But Sidney Lanier was more than
Silly Lanier.
Silly Lanier. But Sidney Lanier was more than his military career, which was short-lived and not what he wanted for his life. On February 3rd, 1842, Sidney Clopton Lanier was born to parents Robert Sampson Lanier and Mary Jane Anderson in Macon, Georgia.
Ooh, Clopton.
His Clopton was the name of one of his father's like school friends or college friends. Listen, I kept seeing Clapton. The times I wanted to call this man Sidney Clapton, I'm like, he ain't related to Eric, it's Clopton. Robert's family were descendant from the French Huguenots, a religious order from the 15th to early 16th century. At a young age, Sidney picked up a flute and found that he had a natural talent and passion for music. He would go on and attend Oglethorpe University, where he pledged at the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. He graduated at the top of his class just before the Civil War started. He came back the next year as a tutor, but this was short lived as the Civil War broke out.
Hmm.
Now, Sidney would say that the war came on too fast while he was trying to decide which side he supported. Living in Georgia, Sidney and his brother Clifford, not the big red dog, were enlisted in the Confederate Army. Now, Sidney was no General Lee or a Jackson. At first, he worked in the Signal Corps in the Tidewater region of Virginia. Then Sidney and his brother were both stationed as pilots on English blockade runners. On November 3rd, 1864, the ship they were on, the Lucy, was captured by the USS Santiago de Cuba, a Union naval vessel. He was imprisoned for 4 months at a military prison at Point Lookout in Maryland. It was there that Sidney contracted tuberculosis, called consumption at the time, which would plague him for the rest of his short life.
Hmm.
Yeah. And if y'all don't know what tuberculosis is,
Had a drinking problem, huh?
no,
No?
no. You're thinking of cirrhosis.
Oh, yeah.
No, he got tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is one of those really nasty diseases that used to kill people, like a lot of people. They used to make like special hospitals for people in the open air because they thought the fresh air would help cure tuberculosis.
Something to do with their lungs, ain't it?
Oh shit. Hang on. Let me look it up real quick because I know that I remember getting a TB test when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Tuberculosis. Tuberculosis, also known colloquially as the White Death, or historically as consumption, is a contagious disease caused by the tuberculosis bacteria. It generally affects the lungs, but can also affect other parts of the body. So that's fun. That's from Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they called it consumption because it literally like slowly ate away at your body and you just kind of shriveled up and died.
Maybe that's where I got it confused with drinking.
Maybe. I don't know. Well, maybe because they called it consumption at the time. And I know and that's why We Drink covered an episode about somebody that had tuberculosis and was like, oh, I thought consumption was like when you were just really hungry all the time. They were like, I have consumption. No.
Mostly where I know it from is Doc Holliday dying from it.
And
Tombstone.
Gotcha. After the war, Sidney went back to teaching for a bit before he moved down to Montgomery, Alabama. There, he worked as a night clerk and musician at the Exchange Hotel, which was owned partially by his grandfather. His brother Clifford would also come to work at the hotel and would go on to own a part of the hotel. Sidney kept up his musical talent by playing at the hotel and also being the main organist at the First Presbyterian Church in Prattville. He also began his writing career with his one and only published novel, Tiger Lilies. This book is in part a look at the changing country and in part an autobiography. In 1867, he moved to Prattville and began teaching at a small school. While there, he married Mary Day, also from Macon, Georgia, and the two moved back home. Sidney began working for his father's law office and studying to take the bar. After he passed the Georgia bar, he spent a few years working as a lawyer. He began writing poetry at this time, most of it a look at life in the South and the ever-changing landscape. So he teaches, he's a lawyer and a poet and a musician. All the while, he's hopping around different places and trying to find a cure for his tuberculosis. While in one such trip to Texas, Sidney rediscovered his natural talent for the flute, not the national, natural. Sidney pivoted and headed up north to try and get a seat in an orchestra. He tried New York City, Philadelphia, and Boston before he finally signed on with the Peabody Orchestra in Baltimore, Maryland.
New York City.
New York City, which shout out to my friend Lauren. She's got a bunch of family up in Maryland. He taught himself music notation and quickly rose to the position of first flute, which I was like, I had a note in here. I took it out, but I'm going to say it anyways. I'm impressed. I was taught musical notation. I was in choir for like 10 years.
Yeah.
I still can't fucking read music. I don't understand that shit. I know you got flats and B's and I don't sharps and all this. I don't know. I don't know. I still can't fucking read music. So the fact that he taught himself how to read musical notation in the 1800s,
Sure.
go on, brother. His most famous piece during this time is one he composed as a flute piece called Blackbird. And it's like, it was supposed to mimic the sounds of blackbirds via the flute. And the whole time, this man's like, I love the flute. I want to play the flute. And I'm like, you would have loved Lizzo, brother. She is a classically trained flutist.
Or Jethro Tull.
Jethro
although
Tull
if
play
you
a
ask,
flute?
although if you ask Jethro or Ian Anderson, he'll say that he's no good at playing the flute. So
While working as a flutist, Sidney was also writing poetry for magazines to help support his family. A few of his most famous pieces are Corn. He literally wrote a poem named Corn.
hell yeah.
Corn. Man speaking to my heart right there. The Symphony, Continental Meditation, which was published in 1867 on the 100-year Continental Anniversary of America. The Song of the Chattahoochee, The Marshes of Glen, and A Sunrise Song. Those last two were part of an unfinished set of nature poems known as the Hymns of the Marshes, which describes the salt marshes of Glen County in southeast Georgia. Fun fact, the largest bridge in Georgia is the Sidney Lanier Bridge in Glen County, and it is actually the second bridge of that name in the exact same location because the first one collapsed in 1972.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Be like, okay, don't name that after me again.
Who engineered that one?
Probably a civil engineer who didn't have a license. Sidney would spend the end of his short life going back to school, being a lecturer, and becoming a faculty member at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. While there, he specialized in English authors such as Shakespeare and Chaucer. He also published a series of lectures and a book titled The Science of English Verse, in which he poses a theory about the connection between musical notation and meter in poetry, which I didn't really go into that, but that, for some reason, that's kind of like stuck in the back of my head. This book, The Science of English Verse, and how musical notation and meter in poetry are kind of like connected.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's interesting.
It is kind of interesting.
One of those weird things that like tickles an autistic's back of their brain, and I'm like, I'm going to get hyper focused on this for the next 2 weeks, and then I won't give a shit about it for the rest of my life. September 7th, 1881, Sidney Lanier died at the age of 39 from complications of his tuberculosis at a relative's home in Lynn, North Carolina, which actually is not far from us. It's near Tryon. He was buried in buried. My country coming out a little bit. He was buried in Greenmount Cemetery in Baltimore.
That there guy's buried right down there.
That there Sidney Lanier over there. He got buried up over there in there, Baltimore up in there. Don't you know? I really did try to find anything else about Sidney's feelings about the end of slavery. The few blips I found said he was happy about it and that he had regretted his time in the Confederate Army. I believe it was his time in the war and his disease that sent him out to find some kind of peace or purpose in his life. While he was glad to see slavery ended, it did hurt his heart to see all the lives lost in the war, which I can understand. War sucks more for those left to clean up for those that we lose to it. Sidney's great love in life was music and written word. I wonder how he would have liked music from the black artist if he had lived long enough to see one get popular. But he didn't get to see music grow and change as tuberculosis took his life away too soon. Like, I will be 39 this year, and I can't imagine dying.
Right.
But I feel like I have so much life left to live.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about Sidney Bill?
Interesting guy.
Yeah, he didn't seem like when I said like he was a Confederate veteran and that kind of thing makes me go like, I was like really expecting to find some terrible shit about this man. But it seemed like I think he joined when he was like 18 or 19. He joined the military and it was
Mhm.
just kind of like a thing you did then
Yeah.
because it was the Civil War and
Could have been me. I mean,
anybody like any boy over 15 had to join the military pretty much.
I was a flautist.
A flautist, a
Yep.
flutist.
And you know, I come from Waynesville, so
You were a flutist?
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I knew your mom played the piccolo.
Played the flute in middle school and high school.
Huh.
Yeah. Played the piccolo a little bit, but
Yeah,
not as much as the flute.
Your mom's more the piccolo player, right?
No, she played the flute for a long time,
Mm.
and then she played the piccolo in marching band. She was in the marching band.
She was a marionette, wasn't she?
Marionette.
Okay, never mind. I'll ask her about it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure his mom was a marionette, and they're like, it's kind of like a dance cheer color guard type group. They're kind of like their own little thing. They have like a dance. Sometimes they'll have like batons and stuff that they throw. It's really cool. Pretty sure your mom was a marionette back in the day.
She the main thing she did though was in the marching band. She was played the piccolo in the marching band.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Marching band family.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So, oh yeah, no, there was another question. So, how are you going to feel when we get to the lake and see his name now after learning a little bit about who he was?
I don't know. Like I'm gonna be excited to go to the lake, just because I don't know. I like all the lakes around here.
Yeah,
I'll probably want to go fishing.
He's a mountain boy, so
but
this man grew up on Lake Douglas.
But it is going to be a little spooky. Wonder about all the ghosts and stuff.
I plan on taking food offerings and libations.
Oh yeah, we should definitely take tobacco.
We'll take some tobacco and some food and grab that bottle, the rest of that cinnamon liquor in the freezer that I'm never gonna drink.
Yeah.
We'll pour it out for the homies at the lake.
Sure.
Because, wow. I was just thinking because sometimes I'll see like the Vance Monument.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll see somebody's name when we're driving around and we're like, bleh.
Yeah.
But I think this time when we get to Lake Lanier and we see his name, we're going to be like, all right, Sid. He's all right.
Right.
All right, folks. Like I said, it was short. Sorry it was so short, but that was all I could find on Sidney Lanier.
Sidney
Lanier. You can go look up his poetry and stuff online if you guys are interested. I was trying to find out who the man was behind it, and this is about all I could find.
Yeah.
He didn't even make it to 40, so.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a shame.
That's crazy.
Please do all the like and follow and sharing. We're going into year 3.
Sharon!
And I see big things on the horizon. You know, do you still smell? Okay, we'll see you guys next week. Love you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Love you.